Matthew 12, 1-8. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, and his disciples were hungry and began to pick some of the heads of grain and eat them. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath." And Jesus answered, "Haven't you read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and he and his companions ate the consecrated bread, which was not lawful for them to do, but only for the priests. Or haven't you read in the law that the priests on Sabbath duty in the temple desecrate the Sabbath and yet are still innocent? I tell you that something greater than the temple is here. If you had known what these words mean, 'I desire mercy, not sacrifice,' then you would not have condemned the innocent. For the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath." This is fighting talk. Here, Jesus starts to pick away at the religious rulers and their laws about the Sabbath. He's getting quite angry at this point, as he probably was in the previous episode, because he kind of knew that they would ignore the fact that someone had been healed, the fact that the Son of God was among them, but would instead focus on the fact that little picky rules had been broken, and that shocked and upset them because all the foundations of their world was coming tumbling down, which is kind of what God intended. He shows up their hypocrisy and the fact that God desires mercy, not sacrifice. In other words, God wants demonstrations of selfless love and service to others rather than adhering to religious rules, rather than hitting people over the head with a book of rules. You see, Jesus repeats this verse often to the Pharisees and the religious leaders of the time. They just don't get it. He's starting to undermine the foundations of their world, and they just get very insecure, and insecurity brings fear, and fear breeds anger. And they start to say, "We don't care what he says about himself or anything else that he does. We only care that he's breaking our rules, and we don't like it." Well, sadly, that does take on serious consequences for both Jesus and later for the Pharisees themselves, as we shall see.